Hello, good evening, and a warm welcome to Rangers Radio. Joining myself Southside on the show, it was either the Three Musketeers or the Three Bears, so I think we'll go with the Three Bears. So we've got Old Bear, we've got Juicy Bear, and we've got Grizzly Bear GB. So how you doing, Old Bear?
I'm good, mate. How are you? How's the rest of the guys, not the Rangers world?
I am fine, mate. Juicy?
Good evening, friends. It's good to be here with the fellow Bears.
Good to hear you on, pal. And GB, how are you, pal?
Aye, good, mate. Grizzly Bears. I mean, you've been spying on me or something?
I noticed you the other day, mate. Aye, Grizzly Bear. How are you? All right, pal?
Aye, brilliant. Like I say, it's Friday night, mate, so the game's coming closer and closer, mate.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Sunday, getting to Easter Road, mate. I'm thoroughly looking forward to that. But there was some breaking news today, Albert. I think we talked about it on the show. It's been debated and split opinion. Ryan Jack signed a new 1-year extension.
Aye, I've seen that. I don't know if I agree with it. I don't think I agree with it anyway. But I can see the rationale, some rationale. GB is going to come on to that. So, me personally, from a pure football point of view, I don't see the point in it. I really don't. But anyway, I'm sure we're going to get into more detail. I don't know about yourself. Do you think it was a good move?
I can see the rationale in it. Probably no, was my answer when we spoke about it last week. But I see the rationale being Scottish. He's trusted, and if he's fit, he'll put in probably a decent performance most times. Juicy, I think that's the way Michael Beale's looked at it. I think he's played something like 36 games this season. So I think that's maybe the rationale, that he'll rotate the squad a bit, Juicy, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And not just because of the Scottish position in terms of European players goes. I think also, Southside, just from the point of view of that we need some level of consistency in terms of the changes that we're going to undoubtedly have in the summer with a number of players leaving and a lot of new faces coming in. And I want a few guys who know what it's all about. And that's particularly players who are Scottish or British players, knowing what it's about to be a part of this club. And we know how good Ryan Jack can be. We also know that his fitness can be a bit iffy, which is why a few of us here are a little bit not too sure. But on his day, we know how good he can be.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's GB. I think you were in favour of giving him a contract, weren't you, a while back?
Aye, so I mean, for me, he ticks the boxes. I mean, the cost to the club for us to go out and get a guy who probably has talents and to replace him for the kind of Scottish contingent and stuff like that, it would cost us quite a few bob, I think. I mean, so I think he's going to be probably signing on that new contract at probably a lower wage for a year. We get his experience. The only thing is, if we can get the injuries sorted out then, and we get the performances like the weekend, because let's be fair, he had a decent enough game apart from that one wee slip up. I mean, so it will be, as just a point, so it'll be kind of horses for courses. I think he'll be good in the kind of early rounds of the Scottish Cup, in the League Cup and stuff like that, I think. And then, like I say, he's running about the squad, kind of not so much a cheerleader, but I think, like I say, his experience in the Scottish game, helping the new people that come in through the door and stuff like that, I think possibly an all-round decent enough signing for a year, mate.
It could be the fact, Albert, maybe Michael Beale has got somebody else in mind and he's maybe not available at the moment, and maybe it's another option at his age. And like I say, I think he trusts him. I think Ryan Jack most of the time plays well when fit. Albert, I know he gave away the ball against Celtic last week, but listen, we've had players in the team that gave away the ball and cost goals throughout the team all season, but I just think he's dependable, he's reliable, and I think if Michael Beale's going to use him in certain games and he's maybe going to give him the 25-30 games a season, I think he might get Ryan Jack right on peak at that time.
I can see that point. I don't think he'll get 25. Me personally, I don't think he'll get 25 games next year. I don't think he's going to be fit enough for 25. I can't even believe he was fit this season for 36 games. I don't know if I believe that stat. I don't think that's right. Because I remember him as being injured or something's up with him all season. So maybe I've got it wrong, but I don't think he was available for all the games. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, we've got to move forward for Ryan Jack. So that's my big problem. Him and Lundstrom's we've got to upgrade definitely upgrade them two massively. And if he's in there for standby, or as GB said, for the Scottish thing, for the rule for having Scottish players on your bench or whatever, I can see that. I can really see the rationale behind that. But see, just from a pure football point of view, one, I don't think he's good enough for the team that we're trying to build, and two, I don't think he's going to be fit enough for the team we're going to build. So there's downsides to that point of view, but upsides for the Scottish contingent thing, and keeping a bit of continuity for one squad to the new squad. You know what I mean? Because over the next 3 windows, there's going to be probably a completely new team, a new squad, starting with this window. Well, actually started in January. So I think from that point of view, keeping a bit of continuity, I can understand it. But as long as it's just him and no more, I don't want Scotty Arfield and Steve Davis and all the rest of them, or their contracts are up, or the injured players are contract. I want all of them gone. I want a lot of them gone.
I think maybe if you want to shut the game down at any point, maybe with the last 20 minutes, Ryan Jack's the type of guy who can come in. He knows what it's about, and he knows how to play that. He can sit in the deep row and try and shut down and play the wee passes and take his thing out of the game. So I do see the logic in it. It'll probably not be a long-term thing, but I think probably in a reduced contract and that, guys, I think it probably makes sense, and by the Scottish thing, that we need to have 8 players in the squad for Europe. But I'll tell you what, if you guys would like to go into mute, what we'll do is we'll listen to a wee bit of Michael Beale's interview, and then we'll discuss what he's had to say, if you don't mind, and we'll hear what and we can talk about it, all right?
Michael, how's the squad looking ahead of this weekend?
Yeah, obviously, Connor went off last week, so he's a doubt for this weekend. Everybody else is fine. No one's coming back into contention, so obviously it was a positive result. So we're going into the game in good spirits.
Seeing that Ryan Jack signed a new 1-year deal with the club, just how important a piece of business do you feel that is?
Well, listen, when I came back in, I assessed the squad. Ryan's a big part of our squad behind the scenes. Obviously, he's a national team player, he's a Scottish homegrown player, and with a lot of experience leaving this summer, it was important that I have someone like Ryan in the squad. He's been available over 80% since I've come back in, so there's a lot of questions about that, without it being the reality of what's actually played out. And I think he performed really well again last weekend. He performed really well for the national team in the last break, and I'm delighted he's staying around for a bit longer.
On that midfield area, how close is a deal for Jose Cifuentes from LAFC?
Not really close, if I'm honest. Obviously, these things pick up speed and in the newspapers and everything. He's obviously a good player, very, very good player, but his contract runs to December, so you look at the length of that, it's not close. December seems a long way away.
I mean, he's been quite active on social media, engaging with Rangers fans. Has that surprised you, given the fact you say it's not close?
Social media, and I haven't seen that, mate.
What has the victory last weekend done to lift the mood in the dressing room, if it was needed at all?
Well, listen, it's a happier place when you win a big game like that. I thought the fans in the stadium enjoyed the game, and the players did. It sort of proves a point a little bit in terms of the mistakes we'd made in the other games and the lack of taking a chance in the other game, because we certainly had more possession in the 2 games previous. And I thought on the day the players performed really well, played with passion and run hard. And to be fair to Rabbi and Fashion Sakala, their pace was a real problem in the game for our opponent, and I thought it was a good performance all round. But every player in our team, I thought, performed well on that day. We don't want to go too overboard. It's just 3 points, and we know what stage of the season it's in. But certainly, if you look at the 2 games before, we were heading in the right direction against Celtic anyway, and it was a matter of being ruthless in the boxes and cutting out some mistakes. And on that day, the things were in our favour, where in maybe the game before they was in Celtic's.
In terms of the 3 games that are left, Michael, obviously you want to finish the season on a high, but do you use some of these games to try and give some of the youngsters an opportunity to show what they can do, and also possibly some of the players who may be leaving a chance to maybe say their farewells?
Yeah, listen, on that last part, after the weekend, we'll come out and formally let everybody know where we're at in terms of the players that are standing leaving. And I've sat in front of you guys for a long time this year, and you've bugged and badgered me to try and give you the answers, but it was important that, you know, we get to this point. In terms of the young players, we've lost 2 of the young players in Zach Lovelace and Bailey Rice, have gone away with England and Scotland's under 17s in the Euros. So we've lost them. So there will be 1 or 2 others coming around and getting an opportunity. There's players who have been injured for big parts of the season that need an opportunity as well. And we're going to need everyone. We've probably got 16 players to get us through the 3 games next week. And the 3 games are obviously Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, and we want to end the season well. We know that the teams we're playing this week are still all in the hunt for European places, so they're not slowing down. And it's important for us, after 2 good home wins against Aberdeen and Celtic, that we back that up this weekend.
There's a huge gap, Michael, between Rangers in second and Aberdeen in third. I know it's just a few points behind that. What does that tell us, though, about the gulf between the top 2 and the rest of Scottish football? And is there any way at all, I know you're concentrating on Rangers, but would it be healthier for the league if there was more competition?
In a league where you play each other 3 or 4 times, I think it's more difficult for a team to stay close, because you're going to play the top 2 a lot of times. There's a lot of points involved in those games. So if you was only playing everyone twice, then I think that there would be a chance for a team to go on a season on a really good run. But that's not for me to decide. You know, the structure's in place because everybody thinks that's the best thing for Scottish football. So I think at different times this season we've seen strong performances, you know, outwit the top 2. You know, at times this year I thought Hearts played really well, and I thought they gained from the experience in Europe. Maybe the season caught them up a little bit in terms of the number of games because of European football. Aberdeen have recently been on a good run, and right now we're going to Hibs are unbeaten in 4 games. So I do think that in a league where you play each other that amount of times, you know, if you look this weekend, we're going to Hibs for the 3rd time this season. To say I don't think that's right in any league that's supposed to be fair and everyone play each other the same home and away, I've got an opinion on that. And I think that if the league was set up differently, then maybe one of the other teams can push, because there's less games against the 2 top teams.
Would you be in favour of that change?
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. I don't think anything I'm going to say to you today or a headline that's going to be written is going to push that through. But yeah, I think it would, yeah.
Michael, there's been a lot of chat about the incoming players and obviously the players leaving, but did last week give a little bit of heart in terms of that you've got quite a good basis to build off? I'm thinking about guys like James, Connor, Todd, Nico, who all showed up really well, and of course Robbie McCrory.
Listen, when the sun's shining in your face and you get a good result, everything seems better, and there's other times where the wind's in your face and everything's rubbish. That is the life of football, certainly a football manager in this city. I've said that all along. I think there's a core of players that will move forward. I think that's obvious. You don't change your whole squad, if you like. You try to improve your squad in certain areas. Look, last week was a decent performance. It's important we don't get romantic after one. I think people have had a whole season to play and perform and to train and to show their teammates and the fans and me and the rest of the coaching staff whether they should be involved or not. It was a good day last week.
Michael, you mentioned after the win on Saturday about John sort of possibly working himself back into the national setup. Do you think he could be a big player for you going forward now?
Yeah, I think he could. I think, look, we've toyed with the idea of playing 3 at the back because of the way that John's trained, and over a longer period of time he needs to show that he can stay fit and healthy. We're going to add into that area this summer, and the competition, I think, for Connor, John, Ben and young Leon's going to go up. It's going to give us more variety in that area, more, or add to our athleticism, if you like, and our power in that position, which I think is important over a long season. That area of our team this year, certainly at this first part of the season around Champions League, was very damaging to us. You know, if you look, the only one who's consistently stayed fit is the youngest one in Leon King. We've had no Phil Hollander for the whole season. Ben's been in and out. Connor's had the one season in his career where he's had a few knocks and he's been out for a period of time. And obviously John, until recently, has not been fit. So it's an area moving forward where there needs to be more consistency. And I think that will build a strong squad. So these guys are going to have some competition, and hopefully they'll rise to that as well.
He's back, guys.
Yep, I'm back.
Aye, here.
It's interesting, some of these comments, Albert. I think the one the one that struck the chord straight away when he was talking about the squad was the usual injury jinx. Connor Golson possibly not make it.
Aye, well, the season continues with these injuries. I hope we'll come on to that later on, talking about these injuries, because I'll tell you one thing: if we don't get to the bottom of this, the new, it's just going to carry on into next season. So we need to find out what's going on. Really, honestly, that's top priority. I know people are saying, "Okay, it's just this injury, it's that injury. They're not all the same." Blah blah blah. There's something going on, mate. Trust me. And I think there's a fifth column in that medical staff. I'll tell you that right now. There's something not right. Can't have all these players injured. Cannot do it, and it will get into next season if we don't sort it now. Find out the problem and get it sorted. Anyway, that's just me, one of my rants.
No, it's frustrating. I mean, obviously he had that sort of hip injury or something, he called it, Juicy, and he's came back, and obviously it looks like something's happened in training again. I think you alluded to that. So what it's left us be, as he said, is 16 players now over the next 3 games.
Oh goodness, that's not a big team to pick from, is it, guys? I mean, Connor, he's been an absolute top player for this team and this club. And as the manager rightly alluded to, his injury record has been superb, really, until this season and a little bit. I think last season he was out a few games, but this season he's had a couple of issues, and it was very notable in his first stint, wasn't he? How difficult it was for the back line when he was out, and we were constantly chopping and changing it, and that was a little bit hard for Gio at the time, and whoever our manager was, it's not an easy situation to have to deal with, is it, when your main man's out? And he was still maligned by some of our fan base, and I think everyone saw what a load of nonsense that was when he came back, and we saw how good he was. And I'm not saying for one second that we would have beaten Liverpool in that game at Ibrox, but it was certainly noticeable when he went off.
I think he organises well, GB. I don't think... I'd love to have seen John Souttar fitter a wee bit earlier and had a good run of games on the right side of our defence to see if we actually did miss Connor Golson as much as we think we do. GB, I don't think he's brave enough. I don't think he's commanding enough in the air. I get he organises. I think if you give him a lot of time on the ball, he's more likely to fall out at times and get away. He's got no pace. I think he'll get caught out with pace at being a quick striker, but everybody seems to agree he seems to be the best defender. Everybody seems to say he is good, but I see a lot of deficiencies in his game, to be honest.
And he's not getting any younger. Southside, the thing as well, as much as we've had a horrendous season with injuries, Connor has picked up a few this season, and it's been ones that keep reoccurring and stuff like that. You might get your wish in the sense of John Souttar getting that right-hand side, because if Connor keeps picking up these wee niggles, then the manager's looking, like he said in his press conference there, the manager's looking for some consistency in that defence. He's got to strengthen it even further in the summer, so clearly there's got to be another defender coming in for central defence just itself. So you might find that our back four might look a bit different next season. As apart from probably Tav, I think what I say is if Connor keeps picking up wee niggles and stuff like that, then the manager's going to have to go with a settled back four. You know what I mean? So John Souttar, the way he's shown himself now, has got to be perfect in that position. You know what I mean? So I like Connor. Like I says, he has done a lot for the club. He's had some brilliant games. He's had some horrendous games. I would much rather him in the team than no out the team. But time will tell Southside with these injuries that he's picking up now, because it's becoming more and more often, mate.
Aye, wear and tear probably, GB, for the amount of games that he's played continuously, him and Tav, you know, season after season. I think Michael Beale is probably looking at this squad, Albert, and I think he's maybe thinking you'll no play maybe the 50 odd games. You might have to commit sometimes because he'll have a good enough squad. Do you think? I think he'll go left hand side of the defence, Albert. I think when he's alluding to buying a centre half, I think it'll be on the left hand side. Would you agree, or do you think it will no matter?
I think he's going to buy a utility defender. That's what he's going to buy. That can play left or right. I don't think he's going to settle for one out-and-out centre half playing for right or left. It doesn't make any sense if he does do that. But I know I'm picking up what Juicy said. I can understand what Juicy's saying about Golson. But the fact of the matter is, three were best defenders were all out, and we ended up with Davis, Sands, and King playing at centre half. That was the reason we were getting gubbed all over the place. Put it this way: if Golson would have got injured, which he did, and Helander and Souttar were fully fit, you wouldn't have missed Golson at all. I'm a great believer of that, because to my mind, they're the two best defenders we've got. So after seeing the boy, I've never seen Souttar last when he's playing with High Hearts, but I've seen him now, and the boy is a decent defender. Helander's always been our best defender, so that's the problem. That's what Beale was trying to get at. Too many all out at the one time. It wasn't just one player, but Golson, I can see Golson starting to get drifting out the team this year. It might be the first half of the season, he might be okay, but after that I can see him drifting out the team, and the team getting stronger with better defenders going forward, starting with Souttar, and then one he brings in, whoever he brings in. Oh, he does bring a quality centre half in, by the way, but I can see him being a utility guy. I can see him being either or. I don't see an out-and-out left side, out-and-out right side. I just don't see it. Oh, we're wrong. I hope we do sign some quality. That's what we're looking for.
Of course, it needs strengthened, you know. Just say, heard him saying he's toiled with the idea as well of a back three at times, and obviously he said that John Souttar had to prove his fitness, and he seems to be going all right now. So, do you think it's something in time? Probably we'll have to wait to the start of next season to who he buys to see if he might go with a back three at times.
I think a lot of us have always maintained that in the SPFL, there's a lot of logic to playing three at the back. You know, we should be dominating the majority of our games, especially in the midfield. And you know, we've always had a bit of a problem with playing two central defensive midfielders at home, for example. And I agree with the back four as well, that you don't always need that. But with Tav being such a beast at right back, can he play wing back? I think he can. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it in the remaining matches. That might not be possible with the personnel available Southside. But I would like to see it. And the other thing I'd just like to say about Souttar and Golson, one thing I've always liked about both of them, and we'll get to see it more with Souttar if he gets the sustained run, like you said, we all hope he will, is both of them very, very good at finding a pass from the back, long balls out, starting attacks. That's what I like about the way both of them play, and together I have a lot of high hopes.
Aye, that's quite physical. He's quite good in the air, GB. I just think we've missed him having a good long sustaining run to really get a good chance to judge him. But the Scottish Cup final, when we beat Hearts at Hampden, he had a good game that day, and he played a lot of nice diagonal balls. I thought he looked good in that cup final before we signed him, GB.
To be fair to him, like anytime he has come in, even our team, he has done a decent job. I think Ox touched on it the other night there, that apart from that mistake at Celtic Park, it was only probably a decent enough game that day as well. You mean, so He has shown signs. I don't think he's here to make up the numbers, so you can guarantee that he's got to be challenging for a shot. I mean, and then you're left with Ben Davies again. There's speculation on him as well, whether he's got to stay on or leave. So any other defender coming into that squad, he'll be wanting a shot or no. So it's going to be what I says. If Olsen's looking to hold on to his position, he's going to have to obviously, like I say, stop these wee silly mistakes. He's going to have to show a consistency with somebody beside him. But I think the way the manager is with Souttar is in his press conference there, Southside, you can tell the manager is pushing for John Souttar to be in that defence. I mean, I think he's really pleased that he's shown what the manager's actually believed in him, kind of thing. So I think you might, going forward, you might see that back three. But the only thing is with the back three, Southside, is like, who do you sacrifice at that midfield? I mean, I think the way we played against Celtic was really good, the way the midfield was set up and the forward line. So you don't really want to go to that back three to hinder your kind of attack.
I think with better players, I mean, I still don't think you could set up with a back three, but you don't have to necessarily have James Tavernier in your team or a Borner or a Ridvan at left back. You could play one out the two, or you could play none and play just a midfielder, attacking midfielder on the right, and you can also cover back slightly should you need it. But there's ways in different formations if you've got the right type of players. Albeit if you can hit with pace and you've got that sort of defensive type player that knows to sort of come in and cover, probably play one in front of the back three, sweeps across. You might not need to play with a Tav or a Borner in your team, albeit.
That's it, mate. I don't see me personally, I don't see a point of playing fullbacks that can't defend anyway. You may as well play wingers in their position. Because if you're saying to me that you like a fullback that can attack, we'll play a winger. If he can't defend, the winger can't defend either. So we may as well play the winger, because the winger's a better player going attacking. But anyway, that's just my logic. So you can play three at the back. I don't know. I mean, one of the things that Lundstrom will definitely not be playing in that position. He can't play that position, by the way, anyway. That centre, holding midfielder. So there's a sacrifice for me. You can take him out right away. He had a good game against Celtic because he pushed forward. He played a lot better, involved in the game a lot better, taking shots on, you know what I mean? Influencing the game in the part of the park it matters. So there you are. If he's playing that position, fair enough. But if he's going to play him as a whole midfielder, drop him. You can play three at the back, no bother.
Aye, I think I agree with you. I think, Juicy, I'll come to you then we'll hear the second part of the manager's interview. Juicy, I think Wilber's right, and I agree. I think at times you could possibly play one winger that can track back should he need to, but I think we could play with attacking wingers on either side. It doesn't need to be fullbacks if you're playing the back three, especially in Scotland.
Especially in Scotland. I think we all just want to see more attacking football Southside. I mean, we were starved of it a little bit under Gio. He was far too defensively minded for domestic action. And I'm not saying we go completely gung-ho. There are times when you have to come on and control a game, as Jack has been good at, whether it's starting or as a sub. But I think we're all just thinking from the point of view that Tav, who's been so attack-minded this season and pretty much every season he's been with us, that are we going to alter his style of play? We can't rely on Tav forever. He's getting older as well. So, Tav shouldn't be the answer for all of our goal-scoring issues. But I wouldn't mind trying him out as part of a back three. But to be fair, Southside, this is a difficult poser at the moment because we really need to see what personnel are going to be coming in to then make an assessment on the way we're going to be able to play in the formations. And that's pretty exciting because we are expecting quite a few changes. And I think that's something that we're going to be able to debate through the summer and in the pre-season.
Yeah, I don't think we have tinkered with it before, just say we've tried the back three and sometimes you'll see Lundstrom drop in, but I think it's something we wouldn't be maybe doing it next season. They might trial it pre-seasons and that. But I'll tell you what to do. If you guys would like to get yourselves on mute, we'll listen to the second part of Michael Beale's presser, and then we'll get the phone lines opened if that's all right with you guys.
Brilliant, cool, mate.
In terms of Todd, did you always expect him to make as big an impact as he has early doors?
I think with anyone with Todd's ability in terms of with the ball, if they show the same level of commitment and energy out of possession, then it's hard for fans not to take to them. And I think that's the key message to Todd. I was speaking to some of our B team players recently and asked them what they thought of him, and they always talk about the nice things with the ball. I think where Todd surprised everybody, and he must keep doing that, is in his work ethic for the team, and he's pressing, he's harassing, and he's regaining the ball. And I think it's clear to see that we have a good player, but it's also very early in his time here at Rangers. He needs to underline it next season by pushing on, scoring more goals, assisting more goals, and ultimately here winning trophies. And he's fully aware of that. I've been delighted with him. Our personal relationship is very strong, and it will need to be, obviously, if we're moving together. And he's part of a real positive future here.
Have you had any more further conversations with Malik to see where he's at?
Malik's obviously went back. It was a bit of a nasty injury. This was a 12-week injury that he did. So he's gone back. We did the scans and everything here. He's gone back to Bayern because officially he's their player to have treatment. He was back over at the weekend to obviously get his award, and he's back for our presentation this weekend, probably thinking he's maybe going to get one more. So we'll have the chat. I think Malik said in an interview recently exactly where we are, the same as me. We're due to sit down and have a conversation.
Michael, James was just saying that the recruitment this next season has to be spot on. Do you feel there's a certain pressure on yourself or the board to get it right because you're hoping to bring quite a few in? Yeah, we're looking at a new right back, just to put him under a bit of pressure. No, I think, he's right. Listen, when you're here, the shirt, it weighs on you. The expectation weighs on you. Expectation's a good thing, but obviously we want to strengthen in all areas. I think this year, for whatever reason, some of the new signings have been injured for a long part. So if you look at Rabbi and Ridvan and John Suter's performances last week, even Robbie McCrory, they've not always been fit and available for selection on a consistent basis. So I think the most important thing is we have a good pre-season, we recruit well, we come back tactically a little bit stronger for having a long pre-season, and I'm really optimistic about that. I've on a personal level, yes, the games that have been in front of me have been important, but since I come in November, I always knew the summer was going to be a time of excitement and real energy from me and my staff towards a new group of players. How important was that for you to start that recruitment process before we went into the summer to be ready for next season? Yeah, obviously we brought in Nico and we brought in Todd. I was delighted with that. We were close to doing one or two other things that are much easier to do now in the summer than then, because the other teams that they may be coming from are fighting for promotion, relegation, whatever. They're in the middle of the season. They're reluctant to sell in that moment. I had some guarantees from the board when I came in November, of course, about my ideas for the future. Glad to say that nothing's changed in Douglas and John changing roles, or Stuart leaving and James coming in. If anything, I feel strengthened in their convictions to support me and ultimately support the club going forward. So, yeah, it's going to be a big summer for us. It's everything that I think the fans are expecting as well, in terms of they want to see some new players come in, and certainly Nico and Todd have excited them for the future, and who else could come in.
Okay, can I ask you about James Tavernier? 400 games this Sunday, if selected. How important is he, not only in over the last 6-7 years or so, but in moving forward with Rangers and what he's brought to the club?
Yeah, when I came in 2018 as one of the assistants, James had inherited the captaincy before we came in, and he kept it, and he certainly was then more of a captain in terms of his performances on the pitch. Around the building, there was other people equally as strong or more strong than him in personality in terms of driving standards. Now, 5 years later, and all those appearances and winning and losing, and He must have had probably around 70 games in Europe for Rangers. He's a completely different boy. He's at a different stage of his career and life, and he's a different type of leader now, not just only on the pitch in terms of standards around here. So he's really important, and he's one of the 3 or 4 that will remain this summer that's seen a lot of this club. So therefore their importance goes up yet again.
Michael, just a wee bit different. On Sunday, Rangers women play a massive title decider at Ibrox. 10,000 supporters already bought tickets and coming along. What would you say about that, and what would your message be?
Firstly, that's the championship race you want in the men's game. The women's game is, I've seen it grow and grow. I started out coaching in women's football many years ago. I did a little bit of time with Crystal Palace ladies and Chelsea's ladies when I was working in academy football. So it's something that I've always kept my eye on. I've seen our club grow and grow in terms of the women's game and participation. We obviously won the league under Malky, and we've played in the Champions League. This weekend is vitally important for our team to win, because the least thing that can happen winning is Champions League qualification, which is huge for the women's team and the women's side of our football club. If we win, and we win well, then there's an opportunity to obviously win the league and get in the Champions League. So what an exciting weekend for it, for the women's game in Scotland as well, which is obviously it's growing. And it's an exciting title race for sure. It seems that a few weeks ago it was sewn up, and now all of a sudden we're going into a fantastic last game of the season.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, a few things to take out from that, Albert, I think. Todd Cantwell, they asked him about Todd Cantwell. He seems to think they'll be getting a bit more out of him. I think when he's up to peak fitness after a pre-season, I think we can expect a lot more from him, but he seems to be well happy at the moment with him, doesn't he?
Oh, definitely. I mean, he should be happy with him. The boy's played brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And he's saying, if he's going to get any more out of him, by the way, I'm telling you, this boy's going to be some player if he gets any more out of him, because he's playing well now. He really is playing well now. It's a joy to watch, a real joy to watch. He's brought a bit of sunshine into your lives, by the way, because it was all drab and boring. But it's no enemy with him in the team. He's a cracking player,
I just say I think it's the energy he brings. He's also got a bit of skill, but I still think he's not ready, nowhere near ready at peak fitness or anything like that yet. I think he's still got a lot to give fitness-wise. But what we've seen now, he just gets about that part and wants to get involved in everything, doesn't he?
Yeah, there's been some nice montages floated around of his performance at the weekend and since he's been with us. And there's definitely more to come, Southside. And as the manager said, we want a deep pre-season, and this is why we're excited, because the 2 boys he's brought in January have been really good, and that shows you that him and his team have an eye for players. We've always known Bill's had an eye. We know that he's tactically astute as well, and that's why we're quite excited about what's coming in the summer. But really pleased with him, and he oozes the passion that we love about our club, and he's got it straight away, and that's what we need more of.
Aye, I'd watched B clips. I don't normally do it, but I'd watched B clips, GB, and I didn't see him as a number 10. I seen him more deep. Anytime I seen him, he was running about the middle of the park on the wing, either wing or that. He wasn't always letting the number 10 role that people thought they always seen him playing in. And to see him play that bit further up on last week, I thought it was good. He put a lot of energy in there, but I seen him more as a sort of a wee bit deeper across the midfield, breaking forward. But I don't know what you thought.
Mate, you actually brought up something I wanted to say when you brought up Todd Cantwell, was the way the manager played him at the weekend against Celtic. I really hope going forward that's where he keeps Todd, because that's probably the best I've seen him play in a Rangers shirt, and position-wise. Don't get me wrong, he's done well, kind of being that, like you say, that midfielder that's came deep and stuff like that. The way he set up like Arfield's goal against St Mirren and stuff, he was in that kind of deeper role and came forward with the passes and stuff. But I would much rather see him in the kind of, like you say, the the 10 role, because I think he can finish, he can still work his socks off, kind of going up and down as well. And like I says, we've been kind of crying out on that right hand side to get sorted out, and I think he was perfect on that side at the weekend. So going forward, I really hope the manager kind of learn for that, and he doesn't really upset Todd Cantwell in a sense. I know Todd Cantwell seems to be the kind of guy that would play anywhere, but I hope that the manager kind of sees that that's probably his best position and where he's got to hurt the opposition best, if you mean.
Aye, I agree. Albert, do you see him in that position as well, or do you think once he settles a team down and he picks players, because we're going to have other players in forward areas that are going to be quick and pacey, do you think you see Todd Cantwell playing maybe slightly deeper, or do you see him maybe fitting into that number 10 role now?
I think he's one of the players that you've got to give as a free spirit. You've got to give him the part to play in. You've got to give him the whole part to play in. He's intelligent enough to play in it. He's intelligent enough to exploit space, hurt teams, score goals, defend, work. He does everything right, mate. If you're going to sort of get a more disciplined role from him, you're going to take something away from him. That's just the way it's going to be. You've just got to let him go. You've just got to let him go and live with the consequences.
That was the thing, Juicy. See, watching him, it's like it's as if he's got all this energy and he just seems to be all over the park, and it's not something that we've been used to watching for our midfielder the last couple of years. We know how we sort of played the system, but I was like that a couple of times watching him thinking, here, wait a minute, you need to get to one side of this park and get on the ball. He was just popping up everywhere, and I'm like, you're not actually going to get a settled position that will get you. It's as if he's just burning energy everywhere, but maybe that's the good thing about it. He's popping up everywhere, and that's why the manager wanted it.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot to be said for having a free roam role in that midfield, but there's also got to be some level of focus about it as well. I suppose it just depends on the match and the setup and the approach that you're wanting for a particular match, because there might be some matches where having that level of unpredictability. I've said this before about Passion Sakala, and I've spoken about him on many occasions. I'll get to him later. But unpredictability in a player is sometimes really good in terms of the opposition not knowing what the hell someone's going to do. And Cantwell not always knowing exactly how we're going to be setting up with him is a nice problem to have in a way. Not a problem, an option. It's a good option to have.
Aye, 100%. I think the fact as well, GB, I think when we've looked at Raskin, he seems to just sit in the middle. We know what he knows. We know what his job is. I don't know if we'd maybe try and push him slightly forward. If we can get another midfielder in there that's going to sit, and I don't mean like Ryan Jack. I'm not talking about that or Lundstrom. I'm just talking about a new central midfield player. Or do you think we'll maybe look to get a left-sided midfield player? What do you think? Or do you think we should try and get the two?
I think for Raskin's time, his last club there, I think he was a more forward midfielder. Much as he was a kind of a guy that swept up and stuff like that, he did have goals in him. So again, I think it comes back to the point you were making about the personnel who comes in beside these guys. I mean, I think if the manager brings in other midfielders that are got to do, like you say, maybe the jack role or whatever, then it might allow Raskin to move up a bit. But one thing, him and Todd Cantwell have got a good understanding together. So I think that will flourish going into pre-season. And I says, if we just had the right guys, I think the manager is definitely going to strengthen in that midfield. There's no two ways about that. Whether it's another defensive mid, I don't know. I'd rather see another Todd Cantwell come in that midfield. See if I could have Todd Cantwell as the number 10 and put a replica back in that kind of Lundstrom role, then I think we'd be laughing. So I think we'd have a right strong team, and then, like I say, spend some money and get a top striker in, and away we go. I think all the teams would fear us next season.
Aye. Well, just to let everybody know, the lines are open anyway. We've opened the phone lines, although we've been gabbing there. Albert, do you think, when we mentioned Malik Tillman and he's going to have the conversation, how do you think that would go? Forget the price tag, right? Forget the money side of it at the moment. If you're talking about Malik Tillman coming back into this new Rangers team for next season, do you think we can put him into, or do you think what Todd Cantwell done on Saturday as an example, do you think that maybe puts that idea out his head?
No, I don't think it puts it out his head. I mean, I think he wants Tillman. He definitely wants Tillman. And why wouldn't he? The boy's a fantastic football player. I mean, I would go with Tillman and Cantwell. My midfield would be Cantwell, Raskin, Jack, Tillman, Lowry or Lawrence. And that boy they're signing for Norwich on the right. That's some midfield, by the way, I'll tell you that right now. No fullbacks. Two fullbacks are binned. And then you've got three forwards to go and tap to that again. Whoever they three forwards are going to be, I think we'll sign forwards. And I think that's what he's going to concentrate on. But anyway, no, I think he'll sign Tillman. And if Tillman's in the team, he's a good player, a really good player. Completely different to Cantwell. Cantwell's the sort of player that if I was on the team, I'd be saying to Cantwell, you watch your opposition, wherever their weaknesses are, you point out their weaknesses. Sometimes you can point them out before the game, sometimes you can see it during the game, somebody's knowing a good game, but wherever their weaknesses are, you put him there. That's where he goes. They exploit their weaknesses. That's the type of player he is. He's one of the players intelligent enough to do that. So if it's left, right, through the centre, a wee bit deeper, a wee bit more forward, it doesn't matter for him. He'll go and hurt other teams, and that's what we've got him. We've got him to go and hurt other teams. The defensive side, we're asking he'll take care of that. His position where he's playing at the moment is exactly right. So he should be. He's the deep lying midfielder. Just leave that boy in there, and he'll clean up all the mess that anybody else causes. He'll clean it all up. As he done against Celtic, it was superb to watch the wee boy. Great wee player. He'll get better and better and better. He's got a few faults to iron out yet, but who hasn't he? It's just part and parcel of the game. So I think we're starting to know what we're doing now and starting building the team properly. Goalkeeper, defence, midfield. Now we've got the forwards to look at. I think we're getting there. I'm quite excited about this guy.
Raskin, I think he's got all the tools. You can see he's a good football player. I think the only problem was he'd had a wee couple of injuries and they hadn't played any football for about the World Cup, where he got frozen out over there, and then we brought him into the team and we've probably tried to get him up to speed, and he's had that wee calf knock, Juicy. But I think once he's up to speed, I think you can see that he'll be dynamic for us. You know, he's tough, he's strong, and I think like Michael Beale says, and Todd Cantwell and Raskin's alluded to it, they've been told their jobs, they're told their specific roles, so it seems to make them sure they understand what's expected and how the system's going to function. And I think it'll be a lot better for next year because you'll have the players. But I think that's a good thing. When he's signing them, he's telling them exactly what he wants from them and how it should work.
Yeah, absolutely. And so far, they've followed the instructions. You know, they've been our two standouts. And again, as I said a little while ago, because they're signings that have come in under Michael Beale's regime, that's why we're excited. That's why Old Bear's getting excited there. And Old Bear isn't always easy to get excited. So the fact that he's getting excited, he's getting hot under the collar, I'm getting excited because I can see something here. And look, I know we haven't had a great season, and we've ended some seasons where we've not won anything and we haven't been the dominant side in the city, where we felt pretty bad about it. But this feels a little bit different because you can see something there that he's trying to build. And, outside of the results earlier in the season, Beale's kept it pretty tight. I know a lot of the old firms haven't gone the way we wanted, but you can't say we haven't been involved and in the matches, and they've been reasonably tight affairs. Well, that's a big improvement from where we were. And now we've got to take it another step and start winning these damn matches. So I'm very, very pleased in terms of those two gentlemen and what they've done for us. And I'm just really, really going to build this up as we get through the summer. And God, I hope pre-season starts early, Southside. I can't go without this for too long.
Aye, how do you see, GB, how do you see Tillman? Do you think if we sign him, do you think he's a starter straight away? I think he's a wonderful football player, first and foremost. I think for Agium, I think the size, the stature of the guy, I think he's got a wonderful vision. He's maybe not worked as hard as he probably should, but he's a young boy, and if he was a boy out of our academy, he's head and shoulders above anything we've got in that academy at that age. But even when we brought Lowry in, he's not worked as hard, but he's lost the ball and that, and he put up with it. And I think you should do the same with that boy. But GB, I think that boy eventually, if we don't sign him, he'll go easily £20 million in the next few years.
I think Southside, for the money that's been touted about, he is a no-brainer signing because of his talent, right? But where I'm concerned is that if we do sign him, I don't want him to be a kind of detriment to Cantwell's position, because the times we have seen the two of them together in that midfield, it's been a kind of hit and a miss. All firm games as well with Tillman, he's never really got into them. He's never really had that same energy that Cantwell's had with going winning the ball. And now when I look back in the games where Cantwell was playing and to the game at the weekend, I would much rather Cantwell gets Tillman's position. And it's whether, again, the conversation the manager's going to have with Tillman. I don't think Tillman's going to come to Rangers to be a guy that sits on the bench. I think Tillman will want reassurances that he's coming here. If he's got to sign, he's got to be a starter, in the sense that as long as he does his training right and he shows the right attitude and stuff like that, then he's got to be a number one pick. But I think the manager's got to try and work on his position and make him more aware that he's got to work hard in the team. Talent we can't fault. The goals that he's scored, that we've seen him score, we can't fault. But there is times, like I say, especially in an all-firm game, he really does fall out the game quite a bit for me, and I'd much rather, like I say, Cantwell keeps that position in the forward line, and like I say, I don't know, maybe we bring Tillman on later on or whatever, but it's a mind-boggling one for the manager. I don't know how he's going to sort that, because if he does sign him, then everybody would just assume that Cantwell goes back into the midfield and Tillman picks up that position. But I just don't think Tillman's really set it alight too much in that position, mate, to be fair.
Mm-hmm. Joe Aribo didn't exactly set it alight against him for the first season he was at Ibrox, and I think if Tillman did sign and come back, I think the people that are sceptical about him playing against them, I think you would see a different Malik Tillman. My own preference is I don't think the boy will want to come back and sign and play in this league. I think that's just what I think. Anyway, I think we've been joined by old Davey, a.k.a. Burt. How you doing, Davey?
I am doing fine, Susie. Yeah, how you doing, guys? Hi, Davey. How you doing, pal?
Davey boy.
Fine, old Bert. Aye.
How's Easter eggs?
Oh, they're real good. The Tillman scenario is, I think, you just sort of stole my thunder there, Susie, regarding the whole scenario of it. It's really down to whether he wants to come or not, because this might be no his cup of tea. He might be looking the bigger eyeballs to go elsewhere, but it's up to him. But as my opinion, the Rangers have got to sign him. It's $5 million. If you've got the $5 million, and you have to have that boy in that squad. If you want a strong squad, you've got to have players like him.
I agree, Davey. Albert, I just think he's got great vision. Even up at Pittodrie, he put 2 balls through and we didn't take the chances, and he put them through. And for a young boy at 20, his physical attributes, I think if he had another season here starting and he'd signed Albert, I think he would flourish. I think you would see a difference in him.
Absolutely, man. He's a brilliant player, man. There's no getting away from it. He is a brilliant player. He's got everything, man. He's got everything. Both feet, he did the ball. shoot, the lot, everything. He's got everything. I don't understand why you wouldn't want to bring him in. He's not going to play every game anyway. I don't think any player on the team's going to play every game. So it's a good squad a right good squad we're looking for. And he definitely fits that. I would sign him in a minute, mate. Me personally, I would sign him in a minute. I don't think it's a non-brainer for me. Even though it might be 5 million, 6 million, whatever it is, I'd still sign him, mate. He's a fantastic player.
I think if you're looking to up your quality in your squad, and you will take injuries or suspend. Well, the way Todd Cantwell's been getting dealt with since he came in, I think he's on 7 bookings. So if he's going to pick up as many bookings as that at the start of next season, he might boot the team in suspension, and you probably would be looking to put the quality back in. And if you're looking like that, you'd be thinking, well, Malik Tillman would be your man, eh?
Well, maybe. I mean, I wouldn't want to change the style of player that Cantwell is with regards to the bookings, but the sexy players always get targeted by our useless refs, don't they, Southside? That's always a problem for me. But the one thing I am a little bit concerned about with the Tillman thing is, I agree with you. I don't know whether he necessarily wants to come, but aside from that, the fact that Bayern have changed their manager with Tuchel now, he's going to want to look at all of their players again in the summer. And I don't think any deal that was on the table is probably going to be totally reassessed by their club and their new manager this summer. So I don't think we can take anything for granted with having first refusal on him now. I think that might still happen, and European football and guaranteed group stage football, not necessarily knowing what competition it will be in. It's got to be something Tillman's got to think about. And you mentioned Aribo. He's got to think about the Aribo situation as well. Aribo went to another club, and it doesn't always work out. And no, I didn't want it to not work out for Joe, but he's now in the Championship, and he barely played for them this season. And it just shows you that a team like Glasgow Rangers, 50,000 fans every week, European football, massive matches. I know there's a few matches in there as well that aren't great, but there's so much that he could potentially have if he comes here. I think I'm with you, Southside. I don't think it will happen, but I'd love to see it still. I would love to see it because I think he's been really good for us.
Yep, 100%. And he's a young boy. Listen, it's a few lads would like to get ourselves onto mute. We're just going to have the tune, Davey, and we'll catch you in the second half, pal, all right?
Rangers, easy, okay. Look out, everyone, we're on our way. Football is the game that we play all over the world. Rangers, easy, okay. Look out, everyone, we're on our way. We can show the world how to play, for we are Rangers, okay. Won't you come and cheer us? Help the boys along. White and blue, coming through with a song. Oh, Rangers, easy, okay. Look out, everyone, we're on our way. Football is the game that we play all over the world. Rangers, easy, okay. Look out, everyone, we're on our way. We can show the world how to play, for we are Rangers, okay. We'll be there to do it, do it if we can. Win the cup, hold it up in our hands. Easy, okay. Look out, everyone, we're on our way. Football is the game that we play all over the world. Rangers, can show the world how to play, for we are Rangers, okay.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Hi, welcome back, guys. Just as you were saying there, just at the end, European football, 50,000 supporters competing for cups and trophies. Every game's a cup final. A total different mentality to what you've been used to. And for any player coming into the club, that's the thing that they've got to get used to, is being able to rise to the occasion, because every game means that every team wants to beat you, and probably in the league that you've been at before, you might want to win as a team, but we've heard former players saying when they went down to England, they've had a draw midweek and they're all happy about it, whereas at Ibrox that's not acceptable.
Well, you don't get the you don't get that same level of pressure at necessarily every club, do you? I mean, I know that there's a top club in every league. There's one or two teams that tend to vie for the title in most leagues in Europe, but because of the level of competition in the SPFL and the fact that, as Beale was alluding to, playing each other three or four times in a season isn't necessarily great for the spectacle. Pressure is still there, and we've seen what the competition is like between the top two in Scotland, and it is now almost you have to win every game, otherwise you're playing catch up, and that's unfortunately something you have to credit both sides with. That's the level now that you have to get to, and the rest of the SPFL, playing Rangers and Celtic 3 or 4 times, that is why you're seeing such a massive gap between the rest, and that's why I would love to see an 18-team league, which is a debate for another time, I know, but when you talk about the product, it would make it a better product, in my opinion. But yeah, that's the pressure. But being at Rangers, you have to win every week. If we draw 1 or 2 games, we lose our minds.
Yeah, that's the demands, Davey, and that's what it's my only fear sometimes as he's building this squad, Davey. I think you've got to get it right, because we're wanting players to play in the first team, and you're talking probably 3 games a week for the first wee while, and it will be high demand. You want your best team on the park as often as possible, so it'll not be like 4 and 5 changes every week. But this is what Todd Cantwell, Raskin, and the other new players have all got to get up to speed on. It's going to be wear and tear for them. It's going to be hard and demanding, and we've got to make sure they're at it all the time.
Definitely, aye. Well, that's a good thing. I think that we're looking forward to seeing, and I don't see. I'm very, very optimistic. I think everybody is, because it's not going to be as calamitous as where it was where we were there, and that's another thing, when certain players come in, the young boy and all, and people are criticising him. He's coming for a total different type of football, and that's another thing about where he wants to go and play. I want him to go to Rangers, because that's, to me, it suits him there. See, to go back to the Bundesliga, I don't think it would be anywhere near what everybody thinks he is. But he's good here, and he's only a young boy, as you said, and you can get some cash out of him in the long run. But what we've got to get, the news that we were talking about earlier, is get that squad, and this pre-season, it's going to be totally different, guys. And I'll tell you another thing. See, the puddle drinkers, they'll not win a treble next year.
I know, we'll be raring to go. We've got to, Albert, this is the start of the rebuild. I think the board are going to front load them. I think the way Bisgrove spoke, as we heard last week, and I know he done an interview today, but it looks like they're on the same page, and he said the investment's there for him. So it's really, they're going with his judgment, eh?
Okay, I mean, that's all you really can do anyway, but I like the noises, the the noises coming out of Ibrox at the moment. They're starting. It feels like to me the club has finally woke up for this slumber. 2012. They finally woke up. We've got through all the crap. We've done all what we had today. We've rebuilt. We've done this. We've done that. We've got the stadium looking good. We've built a Edmiston House. We've done all the things that we need today. We've done now, and it seems to me it now looks like the club's finally woke up and going, right, we need to start getting winning things. This is no good. I mean, let's be honest. We haunted that treble this year. That was ridiculous. That was just ridiculous. That treble was there to be won for us, and we just haunted to them. And it was stupid. It was absolutely stupid. But just talking about Tillman, by the way, what these young players, what the selling point for them is with Rangers, is Rangers get them known quickly. It's a fast track for their careers. Now remember, and all these young players need to remember, your career's only 10 years. I mean, you've got to get to the first team, and you've got to get yourself into the first team. Then you can demand the big wages and make your money before your retirement comes, because your retirement will be up on you before you know as a professional football player. So that for Tillman, that's fast tracking his career right away. If you sign with Rangers, you fast track your career. You're playing in big games. You're playing in European games. Your name's out there. You're playing with one of the biggest clubs in Europe, and you're playing in the first team. It's a big attraction playing for Rangers, really, honestly. And I think if you ask Mr. Arivo, Mr. Bassey, and Mr. Patterson, they would all tell you the same thing. The grass is not always greener, know what I mean? But they all showed you what it is to play for Rangers. Two of them are playing in the Premiership, and one's playing with a top club in Ajax. So Tillman, the club sells itself, mate. You shouldn't have to talk him into anything. The club sells them. If you want to be a professional football player and you want to make a decent living at it, sign for Rangers.
I think we've been joined by Alex Kelly. How you doing, Alex?
Good evening, Southside. Good evening, boys.
Hey, Alex. Evening, Al.
Floor's yours, Alex. What would you like to say, pal?
Just joining your chat again there. I'm reasonably optimistic about the future ahead. Listening to Beale and Bisgrove today, I thought their pressers were quite enlightening, shall we say, about the future ahead. But the thing that I go to, though, is particularly Mr. Bisgrove, the two of them seem to be on the same page as far as recruitment goes and where they want to be and what their kind of targets are in the future. You know, to me, the best thing that's happened about the people who's left our board is obviously for me again, Ross Wilson and Stuart Robertson. I think they hampered Gio. I think they were instrumental in Gerrard leaving the club too, which gave us instability in the long run. And the game that underlined it is, if you cast your mind back, Gio's first home Champions League game, home to Napoli, not one new signing did he play that night. Every single player was a player for Gerrard's era. You know, so that told me there and then, if he's signing the players, why is he not playing them? So for me, I think he was sending out signals to the support that he wasn't happy in his current position. And after that, it was just a matter of time when he left the club, no if. But the fact that Beale's actually doing all his signing himself, he's scouting his players, he's still got, you know, John Park and that there, out there and scouting players, he's still looking at players they sell. He'll have contacts within the game down in England and abroad. That's the way our club worked best, when our manager's signing his own players. And the proof in the pudding is Cantwell and Raskin. If that's the calibre player that Mr. Beale's going to be bringing to a club, then the future does look good. The Jack one, I'm a wee bit unsure. I was against it. I was way big Stevie, as you know, because of the age of Jack and because of the lack of game time. He's basically been unavailable for our service. I thought there was a good chance just to say, no, I'm sorry, Ryan, but you're not available enough for me. We know you're a good player. You know the qualities you bring to the team, but I'm thinking as well the kind of foreigner rule, this homegrown player, I think he's kept him for that reason, so I can see where he's coming from there. What's your own thoughts, guys?
I'll come to GB with that, and I'll let GB answer you, mate.
I'll take Jack first, Alex. I think I totally agree with you. I think the only reason Jack's got a new contract is because he's Scottish. He's got experience behind him as well, so it's a cheap option to have in your squad. You're not having to promote a young boy at the youth squad to fill the European bench or to fill the quota kind of thing. Whereas you've got Jack, who's got experience behind him, still technically a Scottish internationalist. He knows what it takes to win at Rangers. And like I says, he'll not be on a high wage. I mean, so for that, he ticks all the boxes. It's just the injury side. Michael Beale's clearly got to speak to the medical team on all the players and more so Jack, how he's got to manage the season. To be fair, they did do that during the 55 season. We've seen a lot of Jack within this. Gerrard always wanted to manage that knee swelling up and stuff like that, and he was raging me when he came back, I think, for one of the internationals that they ran him into the ground when they shouldn't have. So I think Beale will hopefully have a kind of an overview of the medical side as well, knowing that they'll need to manage certain players a certain way.
Hey, Davey, I think Ryan Jack, if he's fit, and I think rotating the squad, I think Raskin and Cantwell will start European games. I think he's thinking, and Jack could be, might have been looking at another midfield player and he's not available, Davey, and he might be available next year. Or we might be able to pick him up in January and Jack's the stopgap. But he's Scottish as well and he's dependable and reliable if he's fit. So yeah, I can see the logic in it, to be honest.
First and foremost, I'd just like to hope that Alec Dad's keeping better.
Thanks, David. Thanks. I actually got him home from hospital today, but thanks for that, pal.
Good, no bother. The point he made about that is everybody's talking about why he gets another year. Now, if we're getting as many new players in, we need somebody like Jack or some of the older players that are there to get the boys that are coming in. And he's there, this is my opinion, he's there to tell them what Rangers are all about. Because you're not going to get him all the time. But he'll be there to keep them, telling them what this club's about. If you take all that and take them all away, you've got a whole different breed of player. That's why I think he's kept Jack on. That's just my opinion.
Aye, Albert, your favourite player. James Tavernier will make his 400th appearance on Sunday.
Aye, well, good on the boy. No, I mean, it's some achievement, isn't it? It's, I think he's got a testimony, was he? How long's he been here? 8 years, 9 years? He's not my favourite player in defenders, but he's all right going forward. I'll give him his due. I enjoy him going forward. And some of the goals he scored are fantastic. But it's some achievement. 400 games, that's some achievement. Well done, son.
Albert.
Yep.
Alex, hold on a wee second. Davey, I think you've got a wee bit of noise coming for you. I don't know if you've just moved or something. You can hear a wee bit of feedback coming for yourself.
No, not for me, son.
Okay.
You're in a Malteser. When you get to nearly 75, there'll be a lot of moving about, I can assure you.
There's a wee bit of interference. I thought it was you, right? I apologise, right? We'll see. Alex, on you go.
No, I was just going to say to Albert, I think his Tavernier's reward for 400 games is a night out with Robert Witherall. What do you think of that?
Is that a what? Yeah, with Robert.
That'd be some night out, wouldn't it? I was going to say, I heard Robert talking last night and they heard his boy done a few quid in Amsterdam, and I was thinking if he hadn't done a few quid in Amsterdam, he could have paid for the hotel room that night. No slept the bus station.
I was very worried about when he said he was window shopping. You know the windows are like
Anyway, Juicy, I think it looks like the board are certainly backing their manager, and I think it's down to him to try and get the players. I think there's going to be a big recruitment drive, and I think they're on the same page. I think he's verified that, and I think now we're just looking for Michael Beale's judgment to get the right players.
Yeah, and we've got to have a little bit of patience because, you know, take a few games in the pre-season to bed all the new boys in, and I think we've just got to hope that we can cram some matches in to, you know, good quality matches, test the boys. But as Albert says, don't be picking up too many injuries because I do not want to be starting a new season with half the new players dead. As we alluded to earlier there with your reference, my friend, about the match against Napoli where it was 100% a Gerrard team. You know, want to see new signings that can bed in quickly and not be dead after 6 games. Remember, there's still a Tom Lawrence to come back. I don't know if you guys can remember him, but we did also sign another number 10 called Tom Lawrence, who may well be with us at some point, not too far into the new season, but I understand he's not going to be available for pre-season. I think the manager said a month or so ago. So there's still players that we've signed who are already at the club and are still basically like new players.
I wrote him down when I was listening to the manager's interview and that before. Just say, Alex, that's the guy, Tom Lawrence. I think we've really missed him. I think he's got a lot in his locker. I think at his right age, played the Championship, played a rigorous league, and they play 3 games a week usually. I think he was perfect for us. And I think the manager gave an update the last time and he said he'd probably be back just as pre-season's beginning or a week or 2 into it. So it's maybe positive, Alex Kelly, for us there.
Hope so, pal. He was definitely hit the ground running, you know. I think he enjoyed the environment that Rangers brought for him, the platform that it gave him. You know, it gave him a chance to, you know, experience European football too. But you've got to remember, he only played 9 games, I think it was, for him. I think he scored about 3-4 goals. So it's maybe clouding our judgment a wee bit about how good an impact player he could be, but he certainly looked up for it. Wearing our jersey, whereas as we've seen there, the jersey appeared to be a bit too heavy. The expectation on some of the new signings, you've got to hit the ground running. You've got to get the right application attitude. You know, it's not just about your ability to land at Ibrox. You've got to have the right, you know, everything else that ticks the box, the character of the player. That's a big thing that we're on about at our club, and better players, you know, are wilted under that expectation that the crowd at Ibrox give you. See, at the end of the day, guys, we're looking at a bare season and we've got to, you know, clean the slate and go again. So we need to get recruitment right. It's essential we get it right. And if Beale, you know, picks off Ryan Jack, and we've got to trust his judgment on it. You know, and hopefully Lawrence does come back. I mean, Hadji was out there for a year's time. We didn't know what Hadji would come back. He was an R1 similar to Tillman. You know, he came here and under a loan with the option to buy, and we thought we were going to secure him for a good wee while. He didn't really, you know, tick the boxes that we thought he was going to be, but unfortunately he suffered that bad injury too. So it's the thing with young players, you're going to get inconsistency, whereas we need the here and now, and, you know, to get out there and really grasp the chance when you've got that jersey, which McCrory has done, which Suter has done, Cantwell's done, Raskin done. That's the sort of, you know, level of commitment and standard of player that we're looking for. And you've seen the difference here on last week. You know, we had hungry players that were committed and bought into the style of play that Beale wanted. He changed his style of play, which I liked, because that rigid, you know, formation and tactics, people were getting wise to it. It was boring, you know, and easy to play against, easy to defend against. I think that actually shocked Celtic, the way we played, and the Cantwell role was perfect for him. So it's no surprise that he was outstanding last week.
Aye. Davey, if you phone back in, we're going to try and get you on a better line. So if you phone back in, mate, we'll get you back on. That was when you said Hadji there, Alex. I like Hadji, right? I thought Hadji was a good player. Great, brave feet. Shoot, vision. Didn't have the greatest of pace, right? But I'll tell you what, somebody played for him a few seasons back, never had much pace, was Tom Rogic, but he could still do things with a ball. And I think Hadji, in certain areas for us, on that right-hand side when he played, done a great job, GB. I thought Hadji really contributed that season in Europe. I think you get a bit more space in Europe, and I think it suited Hadji down. I just think he's needing to get probably a pre-season under his belt, and I think then you might see a different Hadji. And again, if you're looking at Tom Lawrence to come back, Hadji possibly if he stays, and we're talking about maybe even bringing Tillman back if he would sign, and I can't. Well, what's happening here, GB?
We're getting overloaded. I mean, where are they all going to get game time? Like you've just hit the nail on the head with Hadji. Hadji's choking for game time to get himself up to that match fitness. He's even said that in a recent interview that he's needing to get the games, and he's hoping that the last few games of the season he gets game time, and then it gives him like a pre-season to go into and stuff. I totally agree. Southside, he's a talented player. The boys go. I mean, I think he showed it at the weekend, the nutmeg and all that he done. There's a space for him in the team, right? But I think Hadji had the way he presents himself and stuff. It doesn't seem to be a boy that would be happy sitting on the bench every week. You know what I mean? I think he will be again another one that'll be pushing for that start. And like you says, when you've got Tom Lawrence coming back, he's an ex-captain at Derby, man. He'll not be wanting to sit on the bench. And then you've got Tillman wanting probably reassurances after Michael Beale with that conversation saying, well, if I'm coming to Scotland, I want to be a starter. You mean? So the manager's got to have some headache on his hand, hasn't he?
Aye, it's a good thing, mate. Davey, if you get the show on in the background, I think he's just left. Davey, if you come back on, I think you get the show on in the background because we're hearing interference coming in for you.
Sounds like Davey's in and out like that window in Amsterdam.
Albert, what's happening to this squad if we get Tillman in and we're talking about Hadji? It's about rotation, isn't it? If they're all fit, it's all right saying, like you've alluded to, I don't think you'll get maybe 2 or 3 in the squad, the backbone, or I think will play the 50 games. But if we've got a right good competitive squad, we should be able to rotate 1 or 2 players most weeks, 3 players maybe. Do you know, see it that way as well?
I'd see that way, but I think they'll sell Hadji. I think if there's any sense, they'll sell Hadji. They'll get the 5 million if they get the 5 million back from him and invest it in Tillman. I think that makes more sense because the injury that the wee man taking, that's a really difficult one to come back from, to get back to where you were. I mean, he was never the quickest player to start with, but no, I would sell him because I don't see a place for Hadji, to be honest with you, mate. I just don't. The pace of the game up here and the way the brutality it is, I don't think he's robust enough to survive again because I seriously worry about him taking another injury like that or something similar or a bad injury as bad as the one he just had there because they'll go after him. Livingston went after him the very first game of the season. He took a badge in the end at Ibrox. And they were targeting him right away. That's my fear we can't well know. They're going to target him. You don't hang on to the ball. So me personally, Hadji I would sell. That's one I would sell right away. And Lowry needs to go watch his feet in a low big gas, by the way, because he needs to start pushing out the team. If he doesn't push into his team right away to the start of the season, I think he'll be starting to take a look at offers for January onwards for him as well. So he needs to start waking up that boy and saying, I need to push in here. There's nothing to stop that boy pushing into the team, nothing at all. It's just him himself, it's holding himself back.
Well, I think physicality for a start, Lowry's struggling in just a bit. I think that's maybe holding him back. I know he had a tough year as well. Don't get us wrong, we all know he had a tough year, the boy, the family-wise, but I just think he needs to bulk up a bit. I think he's really got to push his way in. I don't think that you get in the team easy, and I think as a fact is we're rebuilding the squad, and I think I heard them talking about the young boy Leon King as well, and he's talking about adding defenders. I honestly don't see young Leon King getting any position in their centre back just at all going forward.
No, that may be the case, my friend. And the boy played quite a few games at the back this season because of the injury situation, but as players have started to come back, we haven't really seen them at all second half. But him and Lowry are still I would consider assets of our system. If we're going to have a good structure in terms of profitability, then realistically they are assets that should feature in the squad for a while, and then they should look to sell them if they're not going to become mainstays. That's a model that we would probably want to have. I mean, Patterson was excellent business. Some people wanted him to stay, and there's nothing wrong with that. He was a quality player. But model-wise, I fully appreciate selling those players to get some good money, and I'm all for it. Lauer, you got to give the boy a pass this season. You got to give him a pass this season. He's lost his mother at such a young age, and goodness only knows how that's affected him professionally and personally. So, coupled with the terrible challenge that he had injury-wise as well from that disgraceful tackle, hopefully he can have a good pre-season, and hopefully he'll get some more opportunities. Otherwise, what can I see for both of them? Possibly a loan, which wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. Maybe a side in a low division in England, but could be a better choice than remaining in the B team, because you just want him to get that experience, and he's not going to get heaps and heaps of first team performances if we're going to be signing better quality players. And that's where you go to what Old Bear said. Some of these guys could well be sold.
I think Hadji will always have interest in him, but I think Hadji will probably be here at least January. I think he'll come back pre-season. I think, Davey, I know you're back in, pal, right? I think, but Blue Star's been waiting to come in as well. I think we've been joined by Blue Star. How you doing, mate?
Evening, Southside. Evening, guys. There's too many of these to do with names. Guys, just what you were talking about. I'm quite enamorated by the pressers that was coming from Mr. Brisgrove and our manager. I keep my cards close to my chest for the simple reason we've been burnt too many times in the past thinking we've got certain players until you see them with that shirt or that scarf around their neck. At the moment, it's only sound bites. But what I will say is, Southside, and I don't know whether you've heard that, Mark Weedy and the other reporter, the well-known guy, they've been privy. How they done it, I don't know. But seemingly they've got it in mega good authority on Tillman. It's a complete and utter non-starter. And I'll tell you why. And I know for a fact AK heard that. They have an 80%, 83% to be exact, on his sell-on clause. If that is the case, and they say that Bayern, under no circumstances, are budging, then there's no a chance, not an earthly, a Rangers signing him. Unless they were going to let him go and loan for another year, that's different. But to actually sign the guy for $5 million when there's absolutely no value in us selling him on, it's a non-starter. You're not outlaying that kind of money at Glasgow Rangers, that when you go and sell the guy, you're making absolutely nothing. You're not even going to get your fee back for him, for starters. So, according to them, and they're adamant on it, and I know AK had the same presser I did, Mark Weedy and the other boy were adamant, there's absolutely no chance of him signing for Rangers. So, whether you think that's bad news or not, I don't know.
I never heard.
For me, I think the guy had enough talent, Southside. What I would say is, I think he's a bit like Hadji. For me, he's far too slow. Now, I've said for the start of the season, it wasn't in hindsight. I looked at the players we had, and I will say it, even in the UEFA final, I thought we were very, very slow and laborious. I think in Europe, guys like Hadji and that done us a brilliant turn, simply because of the style of the play that a lot of the teams we were playing against. The team that absolutely shocked me was Dortmund, because they normally play at pace, and they didn't play that way against us. So, for me, in our league, one telling point, like going back to that game at the weekend, we beat them because we were able to hassle them. We had players in every possession that were going at them and keeping the tap on them. And that's obviously, after Bill watching that, that's how he wants to go. The very fact he's getting mentioned was the amount of wingers. And I mentioned this last week, Southside, I think it was to yourself and all there. I hope he's not going down this line where, okay, you bring in 3 or 4 wingers that are rapid on their feet for pace. Granted, that's what we want. But that only works if you've got somebody at your number 9 who's also fast and rapid on their feet, because you can't have a guy stunning in a box all the time. For me, the main position I want to see at minimum 2 crackers coming in is striker. What do you think?
You made a lot of points there. I think we'll see a few strikers. I think we need to get goals. And while I'm talking about goals, you might as well hear my Super 6 for the morrow, because I'll probably need a few goals.
Sponsored by your lads.
It's not like you
Hi, welcome to Southside Super 6 for the 20th of May. My first selection this weekend is Stockport County to beat Salford. My second selection is Liverpool to beat Aston Villa. My third selection is Motherwell and Ross County to draw. My fourth selection is Manchester United to beat Bournemouth away from home. My fifth selection is Wolves and Everton to finish a draw. And my sixth selection is Kilmarnock and St Johnstone, and I've got that to finish a draw. If you take all 6 teams, it pays 127.5 to win. How could you all turn that down? Tell me.
What's that? 3 draws you've got? 3 draws you've got?
Aye.
You're getting desperate.
Easy money.
You know the next step's going to be for you? You're going to start taking the Super 6 after the results.
GB, what do you think?
Easy money, mate. Easy money. It's that way. I'll go on my phone after this call and get that straight on the money, eh?
Southside, know where you'll faint. Know where you'll faint, mate. See if the 3 draws come up and your other 2 don't.
By the way, there's one kicked off at 12:30, so I think that's the Stockport game. I know. I was at a game last week and I don't get a reception inside Ibrox, right? So when I came out, the first text in was Oxford. Your coupon was done before 3 o'clock, you know what I mean? I'm in party mode and he's hitting me with that. So 120.71. Come on, get on there. Right.
Oh,
where are we, Davey? Davey, are you back, pal?
Nah, I'm here.
You sound crystal clear now, but
that's great. I'll just keep my money so I can buy some Maltesers because it's a safer bet.
Well, anyway, well, tell you what, we've got a game on Sunday, believe it or not, against Hibs. It's a 12:30 kickoff. I'll come to Alex Kelly first. Alex, do you see much changes for well, obviously we know Connor Golson's probably going to be out, and he didn't allude to anybody coming back in.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think it's But you said before a John Lundstrom at centre half, or do you think Leon King's coming in?
I always said that to try and get Golson out of the team. I was finished with Golson then.
Do you think it's a chance for Leon King?
I know you say that I don't think it's his natural position, but we're really short in that area. I don't think he said that Ben Davies was fit enough to return, so he's really looking at King there now just to kind of get him through that game. See, to be honest with you, I think you've got to reward the rest of the team with a good performance last week. You know, that's the message that you need to send out to the dressing room. If you do well for me, then you hold on to your jersey. It doesn't matter who you are. So unfortunately, Golson's picked up an injury, so it gives an opportunity to young King to go out there and show Beale what he can do for him in that position. It's not a long-term solution, obviously, but it's if you catch the eye, you might get an opportunity elsewhere in the team. It comes down to reliability, and I think that's what he sees with Ryan Jack. He knows he's going to get 100% effort out of him, so he should. But it's the trust factor with certain players in the team, and he's got that relationship with Jack too. So if King does well, he'll consider him in the future there.
I just think David, the way we're going down, Davy, I just think that Leon King's no. I see him if he's got any chance, maybe just if he played a back three, I think he could sit just in front. If he was given a chance, guided, shown the job, educated in it, I think if we send him out on loan, clubs will just think he's a centre back. But I just don't. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the boy plays. I hope he gets. He has a career at Rangers. But I just think at that position, it's hard positions to get into that centre forward and that to get a chance in game time. I just think it's a big ask from Davy.
Oh, I do. I 100% agree with you. That's definitely the case. But I mean, he's got I can't remember who was speaking last Thursday, said about being loyal to the team. Well, I agree with that in a sense. But he's got a chance here to, when we're miles in front in second, he's got a chance here to if we're talking about getting people game time, these are the games that they need to use that as game time to get this squad together. So I would give him a run out anyway.
Aye. Talking about game time, I think we've been joined by Andy. If there's any crowd in here, man, I'll need to start kicking some of you out, man. I think we've been joined by Andy for Leeds. How you doing, Andy?
Good evening, chaps. Very good. Hey, listen, I'm on the best behaviour. And I just have a shout out, nothing really related to the show, but one of my very, very big fans in WhatsApp, I won't mention his name, but it begins with D. He was absolutely delighted that Ryan Jack had got a contract. He couldn't wait to get on the phone and congratulate me, so I'll just leave it at that. But it's a strange move. I'm surprised we signed him, to be honest. I get all the bits that we said, but we're not going to get him. We're not going to get the time out of him, are we? What's suddenly going to change after all the 2 or 3 years that's been out there now? And you know what I think? I think he's an absolutely fantastic player when he plays. Problem is he don't play, so we could have used that money elsewhere. I'm pretty sure of that. The RG one that you were on about, I thought he was a bit missed before he got the injury. So the reconstructed knee, I think if the money's on the table, like Albert said, I would be taking that. And again, we couldn't invest in the team. But there's some good points come out from the board. It's easy to talk, isn't it? Let's see if they put these plans into place. But it looks like I said the other night, I think the guys that are going to come in and the guys that are sitting there, I think they've had enough now. And I think we're really going to go and have a right good crack at this. If it don't work, but we'll at least try and get stuck in. As I said, you can only repeat yourself. Can't really do much now because we're waiting to go forward now. We're waiting for people to come in, get the team going. But we've got to all get on the same page and go again, like I said at the start of the week. But the Jack one's very strange for me. I find that very strange.
I just think it's probably just the experience and everything in the Scottish player. And I think it just fits, and it's probably getting the right type of money. It might only be for the year. We might have an ad said earlier, Andy, we might have an eye on somebody else, and he was kind of get me now, and Jack makes sense to cover for maybe Raskin. Does anybody on here think John Lundstrom's going to be here next year?
Well, please not.
Do you think Albert?
I think it will be, but I don't think it should be. I don't think it should be.
Albert, you go then, Blue Star.
I think it will be, but I don't think it should be, mate. That's my opinion on it. I think it's part of the Jack carry-on. He's been here a couple of years, so he'll be able to guide any of the new guys coming in, but he shouldn't be here, let's be honest. He's not done enough to justify it.
Blue Star?
I agree. I don't think he done enough this season. I think he was slow and laborious. I think he picked up injuries. And then the point Andy made there, and he's spot on. I don't think any of us is arguing the point on Jack. If you were getting enough game time out of Jack and he was keeping himself fit, then we know what he's capable of doing. For me, guys, he's far too injury prone. And on that, related to that south side, here's one for you. the two players that had been playing the last 3-4 seasons, almost every game, every season, was Tav and Goldson. Goldson went out with that thigh injury, came back, was out again, came back, and now he's out again. That's it started. He's going down the same way as Jack because they played him in far too many games. No player nowadays, when they're 25 plus, Southside, as you know, when they play that amount of games and they're stalwarts and they're never ever out, it doesn't carry on. You get away with that maybe the odd 2 seasons, and after that, the body just doesn't sustain that. It doesn't matter how fit they are. I'm sorry, guys. That's Goldson. Gone back away now. 1,000,000% it is. He played the 2 seasons where he never missed a game. I think it was 68 games one season and 60-something the other. This season, as soon as you get that thigh injury, the same happened to Tav. Dare I say it, the same happened to Morelos. They played them and played them and played them, and there was nobody else to step in for them. They start going downwards there. There's Goldson. That's a cracker. Where I'm coming out and saying that's him out tomorrow, Sunday, Southside. Because he was already out twice. He came back twice. Then he's out again. See the minute they start picking up the niggles. They don't go away, mate, as you know. They just don't.
The consistency levels of the fitness, when he was younger a couple of years ago, and now he's just picking up injuries. It's a bit of wear and tear. Davey, you'll know about that, wouldn't you? Davey, you'll know about wear and tear, wouldn't you?
Aye, well, I agree with what the guys are saying regarding Lundstrom. It's one of these. I think it's pretty obvious. Goldson, I think he could go the same way as the rest of the way injuries went, but he was never. What he's got to sort out in that defence is get him. I've said it 17 times on the show. We're too guilty of ball watching. And that's one thing that's going to get remedied, because that just needs to be sorted, guys.
That's why I've said for long enough, Davey, he'll come to GB and then Juicy. GB, our centre-backs have been too soft. They're not commanding. Goldson turns his back. He's nothing like he's not like a centre-back I used to watch, like Richard Gough, John Brown, Terry Butcher, Carlos Cuellar. Even Katic, guys that could go and header the ball. It's poor GB. He's no dominant enough for me. But John Lundstrom, guys, I just don't see a position for him. I know we might have to use him, but with Ryan Jack re-signing, and I think GB we're going to get a couple of midfielders. I don't see John Lundstrom being going forward. Do you?
The only thing that makes me think that he is got to be hanging about Southside is the whole way that manager came in. It was one of the first things the manager said when he joined Rangers, that he said that he wanted to get John Lundstrom's future sorted out. He wanted that Scouse Mafia or something like that, he said, and then again he starts at the weekend there. He gets a shot away and he's involved in the squad. So I don't know. I think the manager has still got a place for him. It's all the other midfielders, like I say, we've already been linked with Southside. Where all these guys got to get game time? I know you said about rotation, but you've got to keep all these people happy and all. Like, as much as they might get 20 minutes here and that, there'll be a lot of players that will be choking to get more than that in the midfield. Maybe this is where the tactics is going to come in, with what Bill's saying, that you've got to see a different Rangers, you've got to see a different way they're playing, because it's the only way I can see it working, that you get more bodies into that midfield.
No, we're going to play with 15 players. That's the new way.
He did say in an interview, Juicy, when I was listening, and he was questioned on James Tavernier. He said with him and Goldson, and he also said he'll be going forward with, I think he said either 3 or 4 of the longer players that's been in the squad. So did you pick up on that?
Yeah, and as I said earlier, we've all got to agree there's got to be some level of continuity with the team here. We can't have 25 players gone and 25 players coming in. No, that sounds a bit extreme, but there has to be some continuity with players that know what it's all about. And we know that Cantwell and Reskin have been excellent. but they've only just joined us too. So there's got to be a couple of the older hands there at Southside that stay on. But the midfield in particular needs strengthening, because players like Lundstrom and Jack, if Lundstrom stays, not going to be playing every game. We need players like Cantwell and Raskin, players like them to come in, new players to come in and take the bulk of that burden in the big boy matches. And of course, we need a front line as well that's going to be to that expected level, which we haven't really touched on tonight. But you've got to retain a few players, and who that is, we're not all going to agree on that. Some of us don't want to see Arfield there. Some of us don't want to see Lundstrom retained. There could be a role for Arfield for another year. That actually wouldn't surprise me. But there's a lot that's going to leave this club, and we're going to need some consistency with players that know that it's what it's all about, and enlighten the new guys of that. And that Ryan Jack is one of those guys, and he might not be everyone's cup of tea, and this will probably be his last year at Rangers. But there's enough old hands going that sort of torch has got to be passed on to some of the other senior players to carry that candle for another year.
Aye, I think Sunday, Alex, what do you think? It'll be similar, same team. Matondo up front, Sakala against Hibs.
Aye, yeah, I would, pal. As I said, I think maybe bringing in young King and just reward the rest of the team with a starting berth, that'd be good. But on the Lundstrom one, just briefly, I'm like the rest of you guys. I support the crest on the front of the badge, not the name in the back yet. That's the way it should be. No room for sentiment. If strong decisions have got to be made here, Lundstrom come in a free transfer. If we can offload him for money to raise, for players that Beale wants.
Aye, we've got to make. I mean, he's getting a chunky wage, Blue Star. I think Lundstrom. If you look at Matondo, I don't think he'll maybe go forward, but here stranger things have happened. He might think about it, and he might think, he's got pace, and he might come in and use him. But I think he gets chunky money and all. If you look at the two wages combined, we could probably use that for a good striker or two, as you alluded to. We're going to need to at least go out and buy 2, probably 3.
On the Matondo, man, let's get real here. The boy's on 27 grand. That's factual. That's no myth. That's exactly what he's on. We're not paying a guy 27 grand just to play maybe 20, 25 games for the season. That ain't happening. No chance whatsoever. So if there's any fee comes in and somebody makes an offer for him, he's away. For me, on that south side, no doubt about it, our forward line needs totally revamped. We're talking about revamping the whole team. Our forward line, doesn't matter whether we won that game, it ain't good enough. We need 2 cracking wingers, if that's the way he's going, and we know that's the way he's going. He loves his wingers. And we want somebody in the middle of that scores goals. And for me, I think he wants somebody with a bit of ingenuity and pace. He's not going for he obviously doesn't fancy Kovacs. That's a gimme. So he must be going for somebody that can play with a bit of pace through the middle. But on that, if you're going down that line, it's going to cost money. So somebody like Matondo, if he's not going to continuously play him, there's no way they're paying that kind of money. It's not feasible. It's just no. You're paying that kind of money for somebody you want in your team, i.e. he's going to be playing with Cantwell most weeks. So guys like that with that kind of money, they have to be ever presence more or less. And if that's the way he's going, fair enough, but I can't see it.
Talking about guys with money, I know Bridgeman's knowing, but we've been joined by Bob J.
Yes, indeed. Loads of money. Loads of money. I'm going to buy Rangers here and buy Messi. No bother.
How you doing, Bob J?
I'm doing all right, lads. How's it going? Okay.
Aye, good. What would you like to say, Bob J?
I heard you talking about Ryan Jack earlier on. Well, I mean, it's been going on all week. Finally signed a deal. Well, we're wanting a fit Ryan Jack. We know he's a good player, but we're wanting a fit Ryan Jack. And Ryan Jack can produce every week. And so that's my take on that. The future, I don't know what's happening here. It's hot in the air, it's all speculation. We're all wondering what's going to happen. I hear a gentleman talking there about two wingers. I take it, he said that Sakala and Matondo were in good enough. I'm in agreement with it. They're all right as squad players, but they're not going to carry the mantle every week. And if we're going to bring in two boys that are going to be a good calibre on each side of the park, they're going to cost money. And it's all down to the fact, do we know how much money the club's got to spend? That's the $1 million question. There you go.
Aye, Andy, I think we think they're not going to be there long term, but Sakala for me, as much as we know, he's either good or bad. Let's be honest, But I think him and Matondo on Sunday will cause Hibs problems. I think if we get the balls into the right channels, Andy, I think we will cause some problems. I think the wee man's got something to offer. Matondo, I don't think he's good with a defender right on him. But see if you let him run at him, he's better.
Yeah, I think the problem with them too is there's no doubt they've got pace, but they can't do much with the ball. That's the problem. At the end of the day, it's the ball that does the work that you put in the rigging to score the goals. They're not very clever, are they? You know what I mean? And then, like you say, you'll get Sachin that'll do something like out of this world. What they're trying. How I'm looking at what they're trying to say now, Beale and all the guys. They're looking for a real strong Rangers. Now, no disrespect the guys. They're playing for us. We've got it. If they play, you back them. I get all that. But they're not going to take us forward to where we need to be. So they need to offload them and bring in better. But we need to do that all around the park. But more or less, the spine of that team that beat Celtic there on Saturday, they were the ones I think he trusts that he will take forward with him. And then the rest he'll add to it. Hopefully a bit better quality. That's what it'll be. He worked it out a bit too late. All right, there was a few injuries there, but he had a couple of cracks at him before. He actually got his tactics right there on Saturday. He should have done that in the semi-final, and he should have changed at half-time. They're gone now. We've lost them. There's no point going on, but it took him too long to work it out of the map, and he did it with lots of injuries. They actually found a way to actually beat them and a way to get in them. What does everybody say on here? What we're all think? Sounds daft because they're winning everything. But you get stuck into them, challenge them. They ain't that clever. They panic. You see the same schoolboy errors that for the third goal that was made by them. That's all down to just getting stuck in it and believing you can get into it. So that's what we've got to do going forward, as I see it. Might be wrong, but it's not rocket science, is it?
No, listen, you can see an improvement. You can see he's got tactically, he knows what he was doing. We tried Kent on it, we tried Alfie on it. At times they fell asleep and they moved the ball. In hindsight, the game will always matter, but for the points in the league, it was nothing. But it was about getting the shape sorted and getting to show that if we put the effort in or the effort's there, then we can cause them problems and we can beat them. And we will beat them. I'm confident next season when he gets a right good team together, squad together, we will beat them. I have no getting the issue on that. But we've got to be consistent. That's the issue all the time, Albert. We've got to be consistent. We've got to beat the dross week in, week out.
I was optimistic to Bob Jer come on there and said he's going to buy Rangers and make a mess of it. I'm concerned.
Yeah, aye. Look, see this man Postecoglou, he knows he's only got one obstacle here. He knows he's only got one, and the obstacle he's got isn't good enough to stop him. And we've got to make sure it is good enough to stop him, like the boys are saying. Get people in, improve the squad, make us bigger and stronger enough to take them on. Because I'm in the camp and all, and the belief that they're not as great as I think they are. I'm probably biased, but I don't think they are. It was proved last Saturday. Oh, the excuse machine went into drive during the week as we knew it, into overdrive during the week as we knew it would. But they're no great when you get on the top of them. It's been proved. By the way, they're going to win a European trophy. I've seen that in the paper today. But that's up to them.
Was that in a Eurovision Song Contest or something?
Probably,
GB, I think it's just, I know Albert, right? I think we might go for him, right? Albert's watched him and he was telling me he wasn't impressed, GB, but the boy Morgan Whittaker, I think we'll probably get back in and get him. I think if he tried to get him in the January, I think he'll go back and try and get him.
Aye, I mean, the forward line, you're talking about consistency, Southside. We need goals in that team. We need to add goals. And if we add goals, then we'll be able to beat the Dross, no bother. And then when it comes down to the crunch games against that mob across the city, then we know we've probably got enough talent there to give them a proper game. But like you say, the consistency will come if we add players that can score goals, no matter what. Like, if one player's no scoring, then we'll have got another guy there that'll be able to put the ball in the back of the net for us. The way it's been going now, we've just been relying on Tav practically half the season, you know what I mean, to score goals for us, and that's not good enough. When you start adding in guys like Cantwell, Tillman, this boy Whittaker, you know what I mean, and then another proper striker up front, I mean, that's 4 or 5 players you've got there that can score goals, and all you need is for them to click. And like I says, if they're able to do that, then we'll be able to take care of the Dross, and like I says, then we'll be able to start building again and challenging them properly.
Right, I'll come to Davey. Davey, I'll come to you and I'll go to Alex Kelly. Davey, I think this is a chance for some of the players. See, like, we're looking at Sakala, if Matondo's getting shipped or no. You're looking at John Lundstrom, and probably 1 or 2 others. We're live on Sky. No, we're playing in the game, so they're in the short window.
Yeah, definitely. But I think a lot of times a lot of us are too guilty of criticism. A lot of players are early players. You just need to go back to Haley and McCoy, not him. They didn't need to hit it running. So, you know, and there's a lot of big changes going on. So, I mean, they've got to give them a bit of space that they can improve. But what I'd like to ask you, Southside, well, I've got you. See, regarding the Sunday game at Ibrox for the ladies, can you buy a ticket over there on the Sunday? I don't know if you know that.
You get in for £1 with your season book.
Yeah, which
I know that.
That's all right. No,
listen. I'll tell you what I'll do. Right, I'll get a wee Hadji for you. Right, I'll get him to speak to you, and if there's a problem, I'll give you my book to use and get in. Right, we'll sort something for you. Right, I'll get him to contact you. Right, I'll try and help you out, mate. All right.
Yes, you're a gentleman.
All right, okay. Strikers, as we're talking about, if Kolak goes, Sakala's markable, probably because he scores goals and he's a pest, and he'll be markable wherever in Belgium where he was, and I think clubs will come in for him. It looks like we should have enough money with some of the other players that we're offloading here to pay the money for right good strikers. Juicy.
Yeah, and it's just about being able to do the right kind of business, isn't it? And I don't want us to go crazy, Southside. I don't want us to just chuck money at players. That's why I'm a little bit cautious about the Tillman thing. You guys have alluded that it might not happen anyway, but got to be shrewd. We were shrewd with Cantwell. We were shrewd with Raskin, and that's why I've got faith in the manager. Bring the right people in for the right money.
You say we can sign that Ivan Tony. He's doing nothing for the next 8 months.
Alex, I was going to come to you.
He's no betting Southside Super 6, that's for sure.
Who's that? You phone me off. Aye. Do you not think that Big Kolak's is getting a raw deal? I mean, see, at the end of the day, we wanted a striker that scores goals, and I know he's no the full run at it because of injury. But if you judged him, the way we were playing with the one striker in the box and 2 wide players under Gio, he was scoring all different types of goals, Alex, and yet we're thinking about getting rid of him.
He's definitely an asset, but it's whether Beale wants to change his philosophy in football. You know, on Sunday they proved, or Saturday they proved that he could do that. But if he's not willing to fit in a goal scorer to your team, that says more about Beale than it does Colak. But going back and what Andy Felice, I can't believe he's had the audacity to claim that Sakala and Matondo are dafter than him.
And it's took you all night to work that one out, Alex.
Oh, you say that one up, Paul. Maybe it's Fox buying you other time.
What's that?
Is Fox buying you other time? Or is this one going out live and you do know it's going out live?
I was just waiting for some information coming in. My Gers members, Davey, get a ticket for £1, and if you've not got one, it's £7. Sounds a bit. Oh, you'll get a pensioners discount, but that sounds a bit
£3,
steep.
I think. Concession's £3.
We'll try and sort you out, Davey, right? Leave it with me and I'll try and sort you out.
Don't worry about it. It's a good job Oxcheers no on here tonight. He'll be going mental. I'm getting my work in the morning.
I don't have any work in the morning, so we'll just carry on. What's the problem?
Great, right. You're by the way, the game's on Alba live as well. I don't know if David knows that.
I would like to take a wee run out. I've not been out that way for. I've been out to the new bit, but I'd like to just go around and see the atmosphere. It's a big game for the woman, you know. I like to see. I'd love to see them win it, you know, with a good score, you know. So best of luck.
Enough Diddy's on here too.
No, here. We're hoping they'll get a. We're hoping we'll get a positive result on Sunday for the two teams, and that would be just the icing on the cake, you know. I'll just start getting around these Blue Star. Just give your final thoughts. What you think and positivity of what you heard today quickly for Bisgrove and the manager and that. Everybody seems to be on the same page. I think we're just waiting for it to see everything fall into place.
Absolutely. Onwards and upwards. And what they're saying the right sound bites. That's what we want to hear. Want to hear a bit of positivity. Won the next couple of games, finishing a high, get into the close season, and let's see two world-class strikers coming in, and then we'll all be over the moon. But onwards and upwards.
Aye, thanks very much. Bob J.
Well, I'm obviously the same ilk. I want to see two good strikers come in as well, plus a decent winger. The Tillman thing, I don't know. That's in the lap of the gods. We can't have another season like this, guys. We just can't. It's got to be a radical improvement. So whatever the shape or form the improvement is, we'll all have to wait and see. It's all speculation. I'll sign out, and thanks for having me on. Love it as usual, and I'll see you all next week.
Thanks very much, Bob J. Well, we'll always go to the man with. We'll go to the next man with positivity. Always Andy Boy for Leeds. How you do?
I'm always positive. Now, listen, I like what's been said. We've been crying out. We want interaction with the fans. They want to give a blueprint of how they're going forward. Now, they're saying they're going to meet the fans from all different organisations, going to have these monthly meetings, talking well, and let's hope that they stay true to the word, and we all go along next season and we start claiming back what rightfully, I believe, belongs to us anyway. And just thanks for having us, and I'll catch you before the what do you call it, the game on Sunday.
Aye, no worries. Thanks for phoning in, Andy.
No problem. Enjoy it.
Try to remember who's on here. Oh, Davey.
Aye, pleasure, guys. Thanks for taking my call. It's always the best show in town, as I said. So good luck to the Glasgow Rangers, and I'll catch you later, guys.
Hey, Davey, I'll try and be in touch soon. All right, pal.
Aye, pal.
Who's AK?
Cheers for taking my call again, guys. Good show, good chat as normal. And mind press that off button tonight, boys. Good night.
See you later. Jesse Bear.
Oh, very well hosted tonight, sir. Excellent job. It's a great transfer in for the evening. It's been a pleasure. And it's been a pleasure with all the wonderful co-hosts, panellists, and callers. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Jesse. GB. Grizzly Bear.
Grizzly Bear. I know. Well done tonight, Southside, and well done everybody phoning in with their points tonight. It's made it a really good show, really interesting points, and what I say is on to the weekend, because I can't wait now to get Sunday to the road till we find out who's actually leaving the club.
Aye, that's right. We're going to release that next week. They said all Bear, so I'm sure it's something we can debate next week.
I've still got my list. I'm going to start picking them off and tell you. So, good show tonight, mate. Well done. Just a wee message to everybody out there. Let's start backing the 3 Bs. Let's get behind them. The noises are positive, so let's get optimistic and let's start getting behind the team again. I know we'll have fallouts about who's this and who's that, but I'll work out next season. I'm confident.
Talking about Bears, can I give a wee shout out? There's the Jimmy Bell Memorial Cup is getting played in Renfrew Juniors Ground. I think it's New Victoria Park on the 8th of July. It's Bars for Bears versus Dukla Pumferston. Gordon Smith, Colin Henry, I can't remember, so 3 or 4, I'll announce it later on again, but that's coming up, guys. If anybody can make it, the tickets are online, and I can also access your tickets at £6, and it's all for charity. Jimmy Bell Cup, it's going to St Andrew's Hospice, I believe, and the Rangers Erskine supporters, but that's on the 8th of July. But can I just thank everyone who phoned in tonight, Old Davey, AK, Blue Star, Andy for Leeds, Bob Jay, and can I especially thank you 3 guys for being on tonight and helping me through it. It's been great to have you on, and you've helped me great tonight, and I'd like to thank you all for being on. Rangers Radio will be back on Sunday. I believe we'll have a pre-match show. I think it'll be 11:30, and we'll welcome you in. I'd like to thank Old School Blue and Fox for doing the technicals. Without them, there is no show, guys. So thanks very much for listening, and come on the Rangers on Sunday. 3 points, let's go.
Hurrah, hurrah, we are the Billy Boys. Hurrah, hurrah, we make a lot of noise. We're up to here, we'll never fear, we all are Billy sons. We are the Glasgow Billy Boys. We belong to Glasgow, we're orange and we're true. Scotland is our country, our colours white and blue. We're Protestants and proud of it, we're loved from near and far. Glasgow Billy Boys they call us. Hurrah, hurrah, we are the Billy Boys. Hurrah, hurrah, we make a lot of noise. We're up to here, we'll never fear, we all are Billy sons. We are the Glasgow Billy Boys. On the 12th day of July, you'll find us in the walk with our brother orange men, there's Sandy, Bill and Jack. Willie is our hero, he beat them at the Boyne. Glasgow Billy Boys they call us. Hurrah, hurrah, we are the Billy Boys. Hurrah, hurrah, we make a lot of noise. We're up to here, we'll never fear, we all are Billy sons. We are the Glasgow Billy Boys. We believe in freedom, we won our fight that day. At the Battle of the Boyne, we're very proud to say, James he was defeated, justice had been done. Raise